link to the meeting minutes is in the chat. We recently had daylight savings go out of effect, I guess. So we're no longer doing daylight savings. And that has about cut the number of attendees in half, I think. Uh, um, it's kind of between that and how we were doing lots and lots and lots of work toward getting the new version of layer5.io, the new version of that site, layer5ng, up. There was so much work to get that there, and a lot of people came to help. And now that it's up, there's still work to be done, just not we don't have as much focus on it. We're not moving it as fast, as quickly. And so, yeah, I don't know. Between those two things, I wonder, well, Josh has got a new project. That's pretty exciting. We'll talk about it at the end, apparently. But Vinay, actually, let me ping Chinmay to see if he can come on. Same thing with Vineeth. Vinayak, are you all done with exams now?
Yes, it's all done. It got over on Saturday. Took a break for Sunday and now back on Monday.
Oh, geez, yeah, uh, yeah. It's not much of a break. Um, so you're still passing classes then, I guess. They haven't kicked you out yet. That's all right. Chinmay Beneath. So Tanuj, does that mean you're without keyboard today? Okay. All right. So I pinged Chinmay and I pinged Vineeth. Hopefully they'll join. Nikhil is with us. So that means we'll come back to Chinmay's, we'll come back to Vineeth. That means I guess let me ping Yash as well. Or the Yashes. Did both Yash Vardhan and does Yash Vardhan, does he go to no, he doesn't go to IIT Jodhpur. Neither does Pandy, right? Huh. Okay, so that works us all the way down to Vinayak. We're all the way down to either your topic or we could poke at Nikhil a little bit, maybe on the same topic actually. The this deploy service mesh is will potentially be a highly trafficked area. We don't have a link to it yet because the page is almost there. This page is really the point of the page is to be is to be a questionnaire, is to be helpful to people to answer the question of when should they use this technology. And in order to help them figure that out, it's one of those it depends type questions. So it sort of depends on um, answer what's going on in their environment. So this questionnaire is for them to fill it in. So Vinayak, a couple of things. I think only a couple of things left. One,
Yeah, right. I have two main things that I think really need to put in some extra work. The first one is obviously the arrow itself, and the second one is the book at the bottom of the page.
mm,
Rest, everything like functionality wise, I think is working really great. Like the Google Sheet gets updated and all the email is sent to the person who is filling up the form and everything is getting done. But CSS point of view, it's not there yet, I guess.
Yeah, this works pretty darn well. The how people fill in the form, they submit it. We on our side we get an email, and we also get an entry into a Google sheet.
The
So
Google
that's
Sheets.
and then one item that's small is oh, is when someone hovers over the horizontal line.
Yeah, right. We also need to add the like the bottom one to show the amount, like 50, 20, 30, the percentage of the slider. Yeah, that's also one thing.
Nice. Yeah. And if we end up showing the tooltip up here the whole time, that I think that's fine. That's can be helpful. It's not it's fine. But if we end up showing a bottom tooltip as well, so they basically have two tooltips the whole time, we that'll be fine. It might be a slight improvement if maybe that value is shown on the right hand side or the left hand side potentially to. But if it's shown directly below, that's fine as well.
Like I guess we can like play around with like the both of the versions and see like what looks better.
Sure, sounds good. Okay. There, um, so the way we were thinking this might work is that we might end up having so many questions that it would be kind of two areas, um, or two separate
Two
sets of
different
questions,
forms.
and that's on me. Or like I need to go and really give it a bit more thought to figure out just how many more questions do we have, and if those questions are logically grouped, like sort of in the same topic, like this is a set and that's a set, then one thing that concerns me, excuse me, a little bit about the design right now is if I was to come take this, I'd be like, okay, so yeah, do I really need a service mesh? Well, yeah, I do have a lot of those, and and it would say some certain number of like inter-service communication requests. It would give me some kind of an idea. This is really important. Really important. I might break this down into like three questions. I might, but point is that as I'm a as a user, as I'm looking over this, I'm like, okay, so I filled in a few. Oh, I see. There's a few more to take. Okay. Yeah, they want to. All right. So fine. Yeah, I want to know what they've got to think. I'll get a full report. So, I'll fill this in. And oh, by the way, I don't know if this is client side controllable. I think some of it is like the ability to oh, you know what? I'm in a different, I was going to say the ability to autofill that it anyway, as a user, if I can see all of the next questions, I might be less inclined to fill them all in. Like, because I might be like, well, there's only a couple more. I don't want to give up my email address. I got the idea. Like, so if I don't know, something to think about if we're showing them all the rest of the questions. Granted, they can't see the tooltips, so they don't quite know what this means.
One thing that we can do, like to make them uncertain about the questions that we are going to ask, is that like we can blur it out a little bit. Like they are not exactly able to read them, but they know that there are five more questions. So that might do it for us. Or the other thing that can be done is to like completely cover them, but then they won't know that there are more questions or not.
Right. Yeah. I like your first suggestion is pretty fantastic. What are the questions such that the user can see there are any number more questions. However, they can't quite read them. Or yep, that's great. Or another one, not and either of these two would be fun. Would be great. A potential another way is that there's some indicator that there's like a vertical ellipse, like a dot dot dot, like oh okay, actually I can see a few, but it looks like or there's something intimating to me that there's like a bunch more. So instead of the submit button being there, it would be like, I don't know. Some, but the blurring would work just great.
Yeah, I think the blurring would do much. Like if we blur it more, then it's sufficient, I guess.
Yeah, less. Yeah. We're talking like like a single CSS entry and not JavaScript to like do. Yeah. What do you guys think about so and by the way, Chinwendu, please your thoughts on this as well, very much encouraged. Uh so we kind of described the purpose of the page. Like it's likely when we do create a link to the page, it's likely that it might end up being somewhat prominent. It might end up being, because like the landscape is sort of I don't want to, I don't want to get blow up Nikhil's head here or anything, but the landscape is kind of a special thing, sort of stands unto its own, and it's highly trafficked, highly referenced. It's intriguing to people. There's a lot of data, info for them to digest, and it's, it's somewhat opinionated at this point. Sort of, it's extracting um, insight. As a matter of fact, I was speaking with Drew yesterday, and Drew is working on data for this table down here. And he had said, yeah, I'm testing each of these service meshes. Um, boy, Kuma right now, this one, it's failing like all the tests basically. Like there's this new version of service mesh interface. There's this new version of these of this spec, and this mesh is failing all the tests. I'm sorry, it wasn't Kuma, it was on Linkerd. He's like, but they were passing all the other tests before. And I said, well, hey, if you take a look at the timeline, you can see that Linkerd had come out earlier on. They had helped create SMI, and they were working with Microsoft, and then Microsoft announced Open Service Mesh, like slapping them in the face. and and so Linkerd doesn't really participate that much inside of SMI anymore. And so anyway, he was like, "Oh yeah, maybe I should look at the landscape." Okay, I've totally digressed. What I was trying to say is the landscape as a tool kind of stands unto its own. The same thing more or less goes for this. It can stand unto its own. There's other places that have somewhat similar type questionnaires, and the most prominent of which is Buoyant. I was just speaking with the CEO of Buoyant on Friday for a little bit while. They have a question. It's right here. It's actually very prominent on their site. It's, do you need a service mesh? And it's a different approach. For those who haven't seen it, is this an Airtable report? Is that what it is? But like this is a nice form. It's well done, except it feels like an Airtable report. Like it doesn't feel special. They ask you all the questions, at the end of which they say, "Oops, great, you're almost done. Just need your email address and what company you're in, your name, last name, and that's it." Point is, it's quite prominent for them. So I don't know for sure. We'll have it up here maybe. Um, but the reason that we're investing in this is that it'll be very long lived. People will be coming to service meshes for a very long time. They will have this question: do I actually need one? How do I know when I need one? Nikhil, oh, Chinwendu, I forgot what I was. The reason I called out your name was, one, to encourage you to form an opinion, but then two, as you look at this, just as a regular visitor of the site, like, okay, fine, I'm here to answer the question: do I really need to use this technology or not? Give it some critical thought, if you would. Like, is the flow of the page, does it need rearranged? Okay, there's an indicator here saying, when I come down here, it's like, okay, how strongly to consider it. There's a single colored arrow saying, well, you should go from lightly to strongly, but I get, is it saying I should do it strongly, or is it saying I should do it? I don't know that it's saying either one right now. Okay. And then the thought is that as people begin to answer these, that all of a sudden it starts to go up strongly if they're answering these strongly. And so maybe when we start, it should be, there should be a needle, an indicator, a coloration, a gradient, an anything that maybe sort of starts people in the middle. Like if these are in the middle, then maybe this is in the, maybe this could actually float alongside on the left hand or the right hand side, such that it's perpetually visible while people are answering the questions. Maybe Vinayak is going to get really upset with me for suggesting something like that. but but maybe maybe this block of text here could be moved such that then, at least as they're beginning to fill out the first couple, that they start to see this visual indicator that would be tracking with it. It's like, oh, okay, now I get it now. Like, what I'm going to do down here is going to affect this. So thoughts, and Nikhil, I was wondering if you might take a look. Vinayak is highly collaborative, which is really nice. And he's done a lot here, and it's always nice to have a second pair of eyeballs on CSS on the page.
Yeah,
So
yeah, sure. Actually, I would have taken a look in the past week itself, but like it few of me head totally. I forgot about it until today morning when you commented it on the meeting minutes talk. So I was like, okay, I don't have any answer to reply back to it. So okay,
sure, sure,
that's
sure,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
So maybe Vinayak, you tell me, Nikhil, as you potentially familiarize and take a look at it, like I suspect it's this arrow that's probably causing the most grief. Like, it's
Right,
actually
it's mostly the arrow. Like everything else, is much better compared to it, but this arrow is like really changing itself at each window size.
Vinayak. Hey, it wasn't until um, you did this that I really understood that this was like how to do this. That this sort of a thing was possible. And
Basically, I used a bunch of CSS to make it, like different CSS divs to make it.
yeah, no, and
I
that's
think
and
we might require a different sort of approach, maybe SVG approach or something else to like make it scalable or something.
yeah, yeah. No opinion here. I mean, like, yeah, either would do the trick. No, it was literally I ended up spending a little bit of time. I ended up creating I think it was a triangle, maybe, or somewhere else on a different page, and based on the same techniques used here. I just wasn't aware of those techniques in the past. That like, um, yeah. The one thing that I do think, so in the original design, it is the case that there are like two sets of questions. Hence, in part, the reason why there's kind of two buttons to take the questionnaire. Um, and so that's not Vinayak's issue. It's more my issue for not providing all of the one. Yeah, and this one, yeah, Nikhil, you might have some additional ideas. Uh, I might have led Vinayak astray in terms of um, how to resize and sort of keep this book here. For the most part, other than like a little line down here occasionally, like other than that, um, it's not too shabby up until you get to a little bit like right in here, and then like, well, something else should have happened. Like we should probably, there either just needs to be like an overflow cutoff, or we just need to vertically stack them. or something. Nice. Okay.
After certain width, vertically stacking them would be the best option, I think, because it won't fit side by side.
Yeah, makes sense because yeah, even yeah, it starts to get pretty mad. Okay. Cool. Okay. Anybody else have any other comments on that one? Okay. Mr. Reddy, are you with us?
Yes, Leslie.
There he is. Hey, well, a couple of topics that you may or may not have an update on. These are both
Yeah, I
90.
don't have this the Safari thing and the banner that took my whole time. It was
Yeah, 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 yep, that no problem. Um, has everybody seen Vineeth's most recent banner? And by that I mean on the Layer 5 IO site. Vineeth, you want to tell people about what the behavior here, what happens, and what?
yes. You refresh it and I mean, in simple terms, you refresh it and you get a new banner every time. It rotates. We currently have three banners. Uh, yeah, so they rotate on every refresh. So these are three banners right now.
And this is the
Um,
most recent.
yes, this is the most recent one, which got merged today itself, I guess. Yes.
And
Any feedback?
yeah, then Mr. Lara, any feedback?
Yeah, so I had one. It was like when the third banner loads, the it actually there's a bit of discontinuity. And yeah, you see the first one loads, then again the third one loads. So yeah, kind of
Okay,
doing that.
that's because a popular problem in what is Gatsby. Uh, I I'm not remembering the name, but because the CSS won't actually the CSS which it won't be applied to the new banner because it builds on the server, right? So the initial CSS which gets applied that is what that is what stays here. So I had to make it. I can't explain. I'm not
Yeah,
explaining
so
right now.
actually, okay, that I want to understand. One thing is that issue is not seen on the second banner. So like, why is it only seen on the
Because
third one?
it is they have they have same CSS because they have the same background, the same color and the same. Yes, see, you can see that, right?
Yeah, it actually, yeah, you know
Yes.
what, Nikhila, it actually does do it on the first one. It's just that because the first one is already itself, it's not as
Yes.
noticeable. Like so, I don't know if you can see
You
it. I'm
only yes. Yeah, the only difference is that the background, the image background image, which changes. But in here, the alignment of text and also the background changes. Everything changes, so you see the difference.
Right. Yeah, got it, got it. Actually, this is something which I have noticed as well when I was building the production build locally. They like they render the current default value to the production build, which is the first slide itself. So by default, that is one thing due to that space.
Mm, uh, I'm using the use effect, which will only change. I mean, after the entire page mounts, then only it will change. So the lagging is that the reason for lagging is that I only updating the CSS only after the uh, mounting compounded mount. So any suggestion that would be helpful.
Yeah, like I agree on your point about the issue with Catsy. Like it creates the default for the main page using the default value. So yeah, that
Yes.
is something which we'll be facing because of the static deployment of Catsy. So I think that is something which should be there, even if we try to use any other property. Or that little bit of distraction, like yeah, initial reload and then again second reload.
One question, uh, uh, like when the style components we are wrapping the entire component, so shouldn't it replace the CSS also when the rotation happens?
The state is not getting updated in the, I mean, I used if you Lee, if you open the if you can open the code
Yeah, yeah, you bet.
in the
Actually, just before I do this, this doesn't happen all the time. So let me show you. Let me just make sure that we capture this. So I was browsing the site and I clicked to go. I believe I clicked the logo in the upper left hand corner, and the site crashes. Or I shouldn't say the site crashes, but rather the user sees nothing but blank. And I've experienced this a few times. And do you guys see this? I'm assuming that this is the error that's occurring. So let me reproduce it again for you, just because this is important enough that we should interrupt what we're talking about. So I'm here, I'm looking at the mesh. I clicked run meshery. Yeah, I'll go back to the main site, or I won't. So the way that I'm able to reproduce this issue fairly frequently is go to the site, navigate to a page, and then navigate back home by clicking here. I didn't do it that time. That's good, I guess. Okay, so that's I'll put that down. But Vineeth, you were saying to do what?
uh, I will share my screen now.
Okay,
Even I am able to reproduce it. And I
you,
think the part of the code which is causing the issue is the rotational banner, like the part where which we are parsing the value, I guess. I think so. Because it's saying n is not a function and I don't think we're using n again. Like
So
previously we are using as far as I remember, but I'm not sure.
is this visible?
yep, it is actually Vineeth. I got to say, like the thing that Nikhil is talking about, that I'm talking about with the site crashing, that's more important than this.
Okay, sure, sure.
We should and I think it's or it might be in this same area. Did you hear what Nikhil was just saying about N not being available?
Yeah, I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it.
Okay. Yeah, Nikhil, do you want to say it again?
Yeah, so I was checking out the inspector code. Yeah, so the thing was previously when the rotational banner was implemented, at that time on the page reload, this wasn't working. Like the banner didn't got changed. But
Yes.
after the latest update from Vinith, it is working on a reload. So
Yes.
I think
Uh, uh,
something from that part has
I
broken. Like it's a hunch.
No, actually, it was working before also, but the CSS is same. So I mean the because you can see the change in CSS, but the background image doesn't change. So the uh, the the banner value, which I mean 0 1, that changes, but the CSS won't be applied. That's the reason. But it was working, but the CSS wasn't applied when CSS isn't modified after refresh. So
Right,
recent
right.
so what I did was I dropped all CSS into one file, um, and given a specific class to each banner, so that makes it work. So yeah. Hello.
Yeah, I'm sitting this one out. I'm letting Vineeth, or I'm sorry, Nikhil engage.
Okay.
I'm just taking notes while you guys are.
So
Yeah, yeah,
Nikhil,
I got it.
do you think
Yes,
the recent merge is causing this error, or
I'm not sure. I will have a look at the code and confirm it. Because yeah, I agree with your point that the class name got changed the last time when it was implemented, but only the background
okay?
wasn't changed. So yeah, that is something, but not sure which part of the code is exactly present. Maybe something it would have been from the beginning itself, but we might not have noticed. I'm not sure, but yeah,
So
something to look
do
into.
do you see do you see the same behavior building locally? I mean, when development environment.
Sorry, your voice got low. Didn't through cleared.
Uh, do you see the same behavior? Do you see the same behavior when you build locally without production build?
Which one? The site crash.
Hello? Yeah, the site crash.
Okay, I haven't tried it. I just saw it when we showed it right on now on the call. So we'll have to confirm it on the local build.
Okay.
Okay.
I haven't seen it on my local build. But that said, I haven't been building the site and nabbing it, frequently recently. So it could be there. But yeah, it's a pretty important issue. You know, it's something we should, and that's why I'm interrupting the rest of the discussion to focus on it. Um, Vineeth, do you feel like you have a couple of things to try to fix, or part of what you're wondering
In
is,
the banners,
mm,
in the banner section,
well, or for the site crashing? Yeah.
site crash. I actually I don't have any idea on what is happening, but just like Nikhil, I'll have to look into it. If
Okay.
I don't think the banner thing is causing the issue, but because there is nothing new in this. So,
Okay. It could
uh,
have been an issue that was there. That yeah. I don't know. I would have thought that we would have seen it before, but um, are you guys? So are you able to reproduce it right now?
Yeah, so it is not being reproducible in the local build, but it's coming up on the production.
yeah.
How about you, Vineeth? Can you reproduce it right now?
No, I can't see any error on my local build, but
No, I'm on the
I
on the
didn't see
product.
any.
Yeah, on the
No, I
production side.
didn't see it. I didn't see that. I didn't see that because I was only navigating through the. I didn't navigate to any other page, so maybe that's the reason.
Yep.
I only stayed
That's what
at
I'm saying.
the banner
That's what
page.
I'm saying is like, hey, do it right now. Like, hey, I need to know if you can. I have to have confidence that you can either fix it or not. I need to get someone else to do it. So so we
Okay.
need to be able to reproduce it. So right now on the site, if you go to the site, um, land on the main page, click to go to either the partners page or any other page really, and then click
Yeah. Just a minute.
the logo
The
to go
partner
to.
page.
Yeah. or any other page.
Okay. It's working fine for me. I mean,
Did you just click on the partners page? And then,
yes,
okay. And then did you click
I
anywhere
went.
else?
I clicked on in the partners page and clicked on the logo, the Layer5 logo. I didn't get any error, and I went to Meshmates page and then clicked on the Layer5, but I'm not seeing any error. Any error. Uh,
Okay. Yeah. Hey, can you share your screen, please? Like you're sharing my
Uh,
screen or your connection?
it's happening, I think, on while you go to Mastery page and then you click on the logo. Can you check it once, Vinith?
the
Mastery page.
This is a recent update on my commit on the mystery page. Okay, project
Yeah, project Mastery.
now. Okay, okay, it's happening now.
I don't think it's a banner specific issue. It's something other than that.
It's saying programs something.
Yeah, Vinayak plugged or pointed out an issue in the chat.
Okay, okay. Maybe it's because of the Gatsby link itself. Mhm. Thanush, do you have anything to say here? Uh,
Uh, can you repeat the question?
I mean, do you have any? I mean, you seeing anything here? That's what I'm asking.
Not actually sure. Uh, uh, is it were we not having this issue before this banner change?
Oh, I think it's because of the Gatsby link, as stated here. I don't think it is because of rotational banner, because there isn't anything wrong. But
Yep. So Vineeth, I mean, actually, the right answer there is you don't know. We don't know. Like,
yes,
you
we
were
don't know.
saying, hey, from the rotational banner most recently were just CSS. So the likelihood that that's the problem is really low. No one had reported this issue before. It doesn't mean that it wasn't present or at what time it became present. And the description of this particular issue that Vinayak points out is is descriptive of what we're seeing, but it may or may not be the issue either. Vinayak is not able to reproduce it locally, and Vineet, I don't think you are either. So it seems like it's a production, issue. When you look at the console and the error that's in the console, it does, highlight a production build and honestly, like I don't know if it highlighting that production JavaScript, if that's normally what happens with all, any kind of error like this, or if that's just yet another indicator that it's only happening in the production build. It's happening in the scheduler. Unstable run with priority.
Uh, to verify if this was happening, we can open any of the previous preview deployment links.
Okay.
Can, can you check any of the merged
I think
PR?
this will work, right? Layer5ng.netlify.com. Will that work?
Uh,
I
I
mean, this
think
is
that should also have the latest changes. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, or you can just go to all of the closed PRs and look through the comments in there for the preview links, or you can just sign into Netlify. Any of you who need access
Yeah,
to,
it was having previously as well. It was there previously.
and
Like
then to,
before the banner change.
it doesn't have. I mean, this doesn't have any rotational banner code. The
no,
layer5ng.netlify.com.
Yeah.
I mean the thing is, like,
So I'm going to measure.
the reality is that, like, it's nothing to do with Vineeth himself, and nothing to do with you specifically, Vineeth. Just that if you step back and think about it, like, hey, the most likely culprit is probably that area, just because it's the most complex and uses logic to determine what to show. And that logic is a counter that's based on using local storage and etc. And that doesn't mean that you're doing bad code or anything like that. It's just it's
Nothing
probably
like that.
just because it's the most complex. Like and moreover, you might have beautiful code. It might just be like a Gatsby bug itself, and so. But so one of the ways to track this down is to do what Tanuj was saying, and that is to more or less go back through each, like, identify where the bug came from, like, or where it was the behavior started. Part of what we should pay attention to as we're doing this, it could come from code that someone contributed, or as part of the same pull request, it could come from, like, an update to the library, an update to the package.json, because the bug could be sourced from, Gatsby itself.
Also, we were. I mean, did we upgrade the Gatsby version to 3.0?
Not yet.
Uh, Maybe after that, if we still see any error,
No. Yeah, okay. I mean, if we were going to upgrade today, okay. We can try the upgrade and then see if the issue goes away. But if we're not upgrading today, or, like, early tomorrow or what have you, then, like, it's pretty embarrassing. It's pretty bad. Like, and if it's consistently, like, for me, that's how I nav sites when I want to go back to the home page. We don't even have a home button because that just takes up too much space. We just leave the logo. And so I do expect people to click that to go back. Um, now, Josh was saying, hey, if you want to reproduce the issue, go to the site, go to the Meshery page, which itself has, it has the statistics counter and maybe some other things. So the question is, like, is it really, like, the Meshery something on the Meshery page that's causing the issue? And for me, I'm able to reproduce it when I visit the partners page or the Meshery page. So, So I don't. So that's the other thing, is it may not be an issue with the home page specifically. It might be, um, you know. So now one issue with sort of tracking it down uh, systematically, stepping through the closed PRs, is the way that these are listed not in chronological, or the PRs are listed in chronological order, but in chronological order, I think in accordance with when they were opened, not when they were closed. Something you have to be careful, because um, the ordering of the closed ones is a little bit different. When you sign into Netlify, um, it might be easier to see the build, just to iterate through the prior builds. So all of you should have access to Netlify, like netlify.com, to the team, this Layer5 IO team. So, and beneath, if you don't recall having access, then we should get it. So see where it says Vineeth Vanga's team?
Yeah.
There's, at the very top upper left-hand corner, you can switch between teams. So you might be part of your own team plus the Layer5 team. Or maybe you're
I
not.
think have.
Nope, you're
No,
not.
I
Okay.
don't. I'm not.
Send it to you. But okay, so I'm much more confident now that we have the tools in place to kind of track it down. Like, hey, we're able to reproduce it. B, one of the approaches is to like step back through each of the deployment, deploys, and beneath, if only because it's probably your bad code. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm totally kidding.
Yeah, not a problem.
Yeah, it's whether. And by the way, beneath, even if the issue is in your area, I want to say this out loud for everyone else to hear, which is, that's got nothing to do with. I mean, that's just how, like, just poop happens. Like, even if beneath divided by 0 and caused a null, like, even if it's like directly, that's just how it is. Like, it's got. It could have happened to me. Could have happened to anybody. It isn't about assigning fault. That's not what this is about. It is about identifying what it is so that everybody can learn and say, oh, okay, you shouldn't divide by 0 or whatever it is. But anyway, I just want to be clear. Like, there's no blaming happening. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the issue is. There's no blaming, other than on Nikhil for not having reviewed it very well. So
That might be a possibility. So, nowadays, people ask me about the color choice. I've said that I'm colorblind, so don't ask me for color choice.
you claim innocence. You say, hey, look, I'm colorblind, so don't even.
So, yeah, that
Cool.
might be it.
So yeah, I think we're okay to maybe, Vineeth, do you want to resume the prior conversation on the reload of the banner?
Yeah, sure. I just want your. I mean, what do you think here? So, if I just use this here, the CSS won't is not getting updated. So, what I used is this, which updates the CSS to whatever banner is currently in. So by default, I'm using the banner 0 CSS. The default. So this this is the reason for that lag in updation. So do you think yeah, if anything can be done
So
here,
you,
so that would erase the issue.
yeah, I mean, so you're saying the logic is saying, is the current banner that's supposed to be mounted? Otherwise, use banner 0. Is that the logic? That
Yes, yes. Until the banner is loaded, the mount banner is mounted. It will use the banner 0 CSS, which is our default homepage.
okay? No, yeah, I mean that's wrong. Just I mean I know
Yeah,
that I know you're having to use it because of some other items, but no, don't. That's wrong. Make banner 0. Um, make banner like one approach is make first of all like one thing that's missing in the third banner is the light green background, that rectangle. I know it wasn't in the mock-up, but if that works, like if you put that there, um, and I guess even if you don't, if you consider this, maybe one way of working the system like is to create 4 banners and make banner 0 blank except for I mean like have the same text and the same 2 buttons, but um, don't have an image off to the right hand side other than just like that green background, or find no background, just white, but make that banner 0 such that it's just it doesn't show anything, and you can load that by default. Like if you need to do this trick or what have you that you're doing here, like um, you can load that and then load whatever image from there. And to most people, most visitors, to them, it will just look like, oh, there's a lag in the load time of this image. These guys should have really pre-cached these images and done some lazy loading, but they didn't. And I forgive them because I see that on a lot of sites. They'll still think that we're not so great, but it will be better than it being jarring, like showing them something, then taking away and showing them something else.
hmm. So, and another solution could be that we can maybe, and it's the same. Maybe a skeleton banner, like you said. Until it is mounted, you just show the skeleton, and then the actual banner says comes in.
Oh, okay. Oh, do you mean, by the way, is it a page loading thing? Is it a resource loading issue? Is that the
Yes, yes. It depends on your internet speed because uh, the mount.
can we
The mount. Uh,
yeah, lazy loading would be probably
don't have an opinion. Yeah.
oh, say it again.
Yes, that could be a solution.
Okay. Yeah. And
Yeah,
then
that could be a solution. We probably want a skeleton, like a skeleton kind of thing before the entire page loads, and then after everything loads, we can just put it in there.
yep. Yeah. Now, if you have a skeleton, meaning that I think you're meaning that to be different than what I was describing. What I was describing is could be described as a skeleton as well, but it's just like the the bare bones of
Yeah, the
just the
text.
background. Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes.
I you could also preload a low res version of the image, show them that, and then show them the full res. I wouldn't do that because it's just even more complex of like trying to control the timings and show them stuff. And um, but yeah, to show them just nothing, like don't show them the blank, the text and the buttons with no image, and then that's an approach that like honestly like or like not honestly, but I mean you should look into the lazy loading first because that's the actual solution where you don't have to really, you know, people load the page as fast as it'll load the first time and that's as good as it's going to get, you know, like there's other techniques that we might use, but then beyond that, if we lazy load the rest of the resources, that would be the answer. We wouldn't have to have anything else. We wouldn't have to have a 4th banner. It would just be 3. So, by the way, guys, on a related note, you know, I was just talking about the notion of preloading a very, very low res version of the images. And then once that's loaded, or once the full res is loaded in the background, then you could swap them out and like that type of a thing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but um, I was talking with um, the core maintainers of mod page speed. Who's familiar with page speed? Modpagespeed.com. This is going to be a little bit of a digression, but the reason that this is important is that I'm considering taking this and building it into Meshery. Um, so, so, so for those of you who have your own site, just like ours, right? Just like our Layer 5 IO, you know, well, if you're running, not exactly like ours, but if you're running your own site and you've got Apache or Nginx, and maybe different web servers, I'm not sure, but these two are rampantly popular. You know, Apache and Nginx, they run most of the world's sites. Some people still run IIS from Windows, from Microsoft, I think, but Windows. But anyway, there's this mod page speed, mod page speed and Nginx page speed. And actually, this is the guy Otto. Otto is in our Slack, by the way. This is this software is used pervasively across the net, across these web servers. What this software will do is, well, it'll do things like automatically, like without you doing it in your JavaScript or on your site, it'll do things like inline preview images. It's C++ that runs on the server side that will run any number of optimization routines. Let me show you a different view. Is anybody familiar with this at all? These tools? So anyway, we're thinking about potentially including them in Meshery, such that whenever you deploy an application onto a service mesh that Meshery is running, that it would also deploy these optimizers. So, okay, anyway, I think most of you guys are still working on that other issue. So I'll talk to you guys about this later, maybe. So Nikhil and Vinayak, I guess then of what you've found. Oof.
Uh, the issue is in the latest updates, in the performance cloud update only. Like I was just trying out with my local. I've commented out the code changes which was done in that PR and it is not showing there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Um,
I
Nikhil,
think
is
it
that
is
something?
something because like in that particular PR we were fetching the data of the performance count directly using the API and after that giving it to the counter. So might be the possible issue is that the data is not being fetched correctly or something like that. I don't have an exact value. I think we are using that feature column in the home page as no, we aren't. No more. Okay. Not sure, but that is the area of issue.
Okay.
Not sure the reason why it is causing.
Um, Nikhil, is that something that you're carrying forward?
Yeah, sure. I will take a look into it and see how it can be avoided.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. See, Vineet, you've been vindicated. um,
I always knew that.
yeah. In your mind, there was no vindication necessary. So, hey, one thing, just like a related note to loading resources and to like, and to what I was trying to tell you guys about page speed is that there's a collection of tools out there that will C++ that will help improve your sites. Like it'll automatically resize your images. And I don't mean like image bot does, like it resizes them and persists them. I mean, it does it on the fly, and it'll take multiple. If you have multiple style sheets on the fly, it will combine them into one. On the fly, it will move your styles up to the top, or it'll dynamically insert the Google Analytics in code in there, or it has any number of features, and so it's all about site optimization. And so, like I was saying, we might end up working with those and make mesh trees special in that other service meshes don't automatically provide that for your HTTP services, whereas we would. And it would be special because these C++ mod page speed is well, they're only available right now on Linux, on Apache and Nginx. But the core maintainer is working to put them on Envoy. And he hasn't told anyone about his prototype other than me on this last week. And he wants to know what I think that he should do with them. And I think he should bring him over to Mastery. That's what I think he should do with them. So, but this is not the best. Look, this doesn't explain it to you the best. There's a different page on page. This is probably a little easier to digest. You can get a sense of what I'm talking about. Some pretty cool or pretty neat collection of functions that it does, all about speeding up the site. But one of those things that it facilitates is testing the speed of your site, like Lighthouse that you will have used inside of Chrome. It uses these page speed modules. That's how it gets. That's how it does what it does. So, by the way, you can take that and point it at like Layer5 IO. And when you do, you'll find that like it'll highlight stuff. We should be running that and checking to see what's going on with the site and where it's slow. It's getting a very low performance score at the moment, which is interesting because do you guys see this background image? So if you've been on the site a lot, you might be wondering if I changed this as of yesterday. So one thing that we've fallen prey to is when we go from Figma to the site, a lot of times we will export from Figma to here, and those exports may or may not be the best format. So this thing right here is a photo that I took of these cards on my dinner table, and it's a photo of real life. So we all know what the best image format is for a real life photo. JPEG is the best. Actually, better than that is JPEG 2000, and actually better than that is WebP. The problem with JPEG 2000, the problem with WebP is that only certain browsers support those formats. Well, actually, guess what? This mod page speed, it'll actually figure out what's the best format based on your browser's capabilities, and then compress the image and send it. And it actually saves time, which is pretty amazing because it's got to do the image compression in real time as it's sending it back. It's not like it persists it back to your disk. So you've got to be saving quite a bit of time downloading things since it's having to do it on the fly. It's pretty cool. Anyway, I ran this test yesterday. It was saying some of our pages were loading in a bad way. One of them was the fact that this right here was about a meg in size, 1 megabyte. It was a PNG. And so I converted it to JPEG. I reworked it. I changed the gamma and the exposure and etc. on it to help make it so that this is easier to read. Also reduced it to about 150 kilobytes instead of about a meg, which really helps with like the load time. But one of the activities that we need to do is to begin like slower sites affect page rank. So if you guys want to be proud of something, one thing to be proud of is something like this. If you search service mesh as a term or some other term that's not specific to us, but is very much what we are about, is that you see where we come up in the ranking. So first of all, we're not paying for ads, so that's fine. We're not in the first three. Those are paid for spots. Down below, since I'm signed in as Lee, it it understands that my user has, I don't know how it understands this, but it understands that I'm associated with Layer5, this site. And so it'll tell me we've gotten no clicks for the term service mesh. Like, I'm sure, holy balls. That's like, and why is this? Whose fault is this? Mine. And again, it's not about fault, but it's my fault for us not having a lot more content that talks about service meshes and people pointing over to the site saying these guys know service mesh stuff. You can go check them out. That's something I'll be fixing. But while fixing it, one of the factors. So by the way, this is exactly what. Anyway, one of the factors of page rank of Google's page rank algorithm is. Oh, by the way, I updated this page recently because it's supposed to talk about service mesh generically, but it had a big fat Istio logo, which is horrible. Plus, some competitors had put links to their sites and stuff. It's pretty bad. Anyway, page rank takes into account the load time of your page. So if we're having pages and resources that load slightly more slowly, that'll affect your ranking in the site. And we have each of our competitors ranking well before us, if anyone ever even bothered, which I never do. But to go to the 5th page, maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed. Oh, not even the 5th page. Oh, this is ridiculous. Why is Harness.io have a? That's ridiculous. We're going to put up a blog post on smispec.io that talks about Drew's work. That'll help because there'll be another pointer over here. I'm going to have some people publish some blogs and stuff that will help. But anyway, point is those links will only help so much up to the point that the page doesn't load quickly. Okay, I didn't realize. So we're about 10 minutes over the time. We didn't get to cover everyone's stuff. What do we need to talk about? Who's got stuff we didn't talk about? I know you guys have stuff. Josh.
Yeah. Uh, so do I share my screen?
Please. Yeah. By the way, I'll never just since we're talking about stuff, I'll never be upset if people just take the ball from me or like stop. You don't have to ask, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, is my screen visible?
Yep.
Okay, so there are three different ways in which we can add header. So is the discuss.layer5.io visible, right? With three different headers.
Correct.
Yeah. So there are three different ways we can add header. One of them is to edit custom CSS HTML. So this is the custom CSS HTML I've added, and the first one is because of the custom CSS HTML. The second one is due to a component. That is the brand header theme component, the blue one. And the third one is from discourse itself, but we can just change the logo and all other stuff, and we can also add so if we are only thinking of just changing the colors and adding a few links over here, then what I would suggest is we use the default discourse header itself, and just add the links. So there is a component which will allow us to add links here in between on this header itself. But if we plan to do something else, something more, then we'll have to go with a custom header or component. But the issue would be like, then we'll have to also implement these three important things into those two component, or into the component or header, like the these three main things. So if we want, we can hide this default discourse header uh, by just adding some JavaScript, or I'll just show it. Yeah, so we can just uh, okay. Yeah, so we can also remove the discourse, this header itself, if we do not want it to appear and we want some customer header. So these are the three options for header. What would you, so any
Yeah.
comments on this, what we can go with?
Shoot, we would really have to. I think the gist of what you're saying is that, like, hey, the goal for the site for me has been to make this site look as much like the Layer 5 IO as possible. So to the extent that we can use the same menu from Layer 5 IO and use it here, um, that's ideal. That we would just be adding search, log in, log out, but the log in, log out isn't just, these aren't just buttons. These are, or they can be just buttons, but the default experience is much nicer in terms of like showing you a
Yeah, the
bunch.
drop downs and all.
And those are, can we reuse those in our, in a like if we use the top, I'm assuming like the top bar represents the potential, the ability to potentially have our full custom mega menu.
Yeah, we can have, yeah, full custom header. So that is due to this added css html. So this is already, this will always be present, but by using some javascript tricks, we can make this thing to disappear. So this is, we can hide the division for this header.
Okay. Oh, wait. Okay. So, right, just like you have it right. Well, if you go back to the top, oh, I see. Okay. You've got two. Anyway, yeah, the ideal, um, yeah, I mean, or I guess,
Okay, so I'll just talk like the ideal, like most of people do use, like most of websites do use the default one given, and apart from this there are components which allows you to add links along with drop downs or anything you want. So that can be added over into this component itself.
that sounds about right. Yeah. Do you think that it's feasible to get the mega menu in there, or the?
I don't think mega menu would be feasible because it would require some JavaScript and all that we need to write it differently. So, like it would, but I guess,
It'd be hard.
yeah, like it would hard. It would be hard. It would be like more time taking as compared to the simpler one. But it can be possible if it doesn't require anything specific to React.
Vineeth,
Yes.
the mega
Okay.
menu
So
that,
yeah, it. The mega menu which we have uses ref React refs. Who That's that is a small part, but I don't know about the discourse. Maybe we can implement it in purely CSS and HTML. We can do that. It's not. It can be difficult, but not impossible.
Yeah. One thing, okay, good. Well, one thing that we could do to start with is to just, is to not actually have the mega menu, but just the nav bar with the same styled hyperlinks and the same, top level links, and that's good. That'll work. It's not nearly as ideal as having the mega menu, but we could go forth like that, um, and let Vineeth have you take a look at whether or not you can get the whole thing over. I think Vineeth, part of the issue might be well is the GraphQL that's used to populate the mega menu, like the dynamicism of some of the content.
Yeah, that will be gone, I guess, if we aren't allowed to use GraphQL or anything that we can fetch data from.
Yeah, I mean we can
May-
use.
Just is it possible for to use any?
No, I don't
Uh,
think so. Like it's
is it
just
possible to get data dynamically?
so
Yeah,
if you can bring it through
It's just pure
JavaScript
HTML CSS, right?
APIs. Nah, you can use JavaScript in like the one we use in head component, like the APIs or scripts or all those things, but not exactly GraphQL.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, you can use GraphQL as a a client here. The the thing is, hey, you'll need to point that at some public facing GraphQL endpoint, which we don't have on layer5.io at the moment. Uh, we so okay. So what would it look like if we tried to do? Can you go to discuss.newrelic.com? I think they have about the best. I mean, it's not very pretty, but they have about the best customized header. So, okay, if you go to new now, if you just click, yeah, if you click, no, okay. If you just go to newrelic.com, not discuss.newrelic.com, but just newrelic.com, check out the header, the menu, the nav, whatever, products, pricing, solutions, help center. Like it's not perfect, but and okay. And see, for them, it was pretty easy because for them, they don't have an ETH, they don't have an awesome mega menu. I mean, look at that, man. Beneath just killed these guys. Oh, that's so disgustingly awful. Beneath, man, that mega menu, it's amazing. So
That was a huge effort, right?
yeah. Yeah. It was a mega effort. Uh, but it's dude, it sets the site apart. I mean, like it's how people they have to use it to nav the site, so everyone that goes will use it, and that's cool. Anyway, point is, so all right, fine. If we just and yeah, I'm concerned that like for sure it'll be a decent sized lift. Um, if only just for the thing that we just said, which is okay. Hey, look, is it impossible to get a GraphQL public facing endpoint up, or just even if it isn't GraphQL, fine, just a it's like this isn't React, it's not Gatsby. You can definitely do it. It'll just take you a long time. It'll take you a couple of weeks to like work through getting all the stuff you need and so like let's not. We should just acknowledge that. Okay, thank you, Nikhil. Thank you. That you shouldn't try to do it because. So instead, yeah, if we just have static links, the same set of static nav bar links with the same, ideally with the same little CSS animation. When you hover over the link, it has a little slider underline.
Yeah, drop down sliders and all those things can be added.
And then it won't be. It'll be close enough. Like it'll be. I think it will be. I mean, we'll see when it gets there. The thing that might be an issue for some people is since it looks exactly the same, but when they go to interact with the one on Discuss, it doesn't actually show them the rest of the menu. It might be concerning. I think that we're okay without it. Like I think we'll just force people to click the top level nav section, and it could be that we're like, oh, after a while, we're like, okay, well, actually, when you were on discuss.newrelic.com versus newrelic.com, if you, yeah, if you, yeah. So here, when I said, hey, can you go to newrelic.com? You're like, yeah, I'll go ahead and try clicking on the logo because like half the time on a site, on a sub-site, if you click the logo, they take you to the main domain. The other half of the time, they keep you in the sub-site, and here they keep you in the sub-site. But if you click on products or pricing or solutions or anything, it'll take you to. So one actually, if you click it, oh, it does show you the full. So they actually, they've got an HTML, they've got a simple menu, so they're able to, you know.
So if you click a menu with a link, it will go to the Relic website.
Oh, I see. Okay, if there's no, okay, okay. So, yep, good. Let's not try for the mega menu. Let's spend our time elsewhere. Because um,
And what will be the top level menus?
it'll be the exact right now the exact same other than search, sign up, and log in. So it'll be what landscape, projects, learn, community blog.
We would have these three as well, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
those will just
I,
be.
I'll try to implement it in this one itself.
Oh, Josh, I realize you probably haven't seen. If you go inside Figma, it's mocked up exactly.
Yeah, I have seen Figma, but I think I forgot, and I cannot open it on my laptop because it takes too much of CPU.
Right. Yeah. But do you have? Are you running Linux on your?
No, it's Windows currently.
Not that. So one, I've asked Austin to go back through. We should remove some of the images from the.
I think it would load, but I cannot guarantee if I stay in the meeting.
Oh, no, yeah, and actually don't. Yeah, for me, it'll crash my. It doesn't crash my whole browser, but it crashes that tab, and so I end up using the app, the desktop app, which works pretty well.
Okay, I'll just download it if it works good.
Um, okay, so
It did
as
the
we're gonna.
same. So I had to upgrade my RAM to 20 GB, and then it worked. I was able to do that.
Wow.
20 GB RAM,
I mean, I had 4 GB soldered memory, right? And 16 GB.
SSD.
Yeah. No, no,
Oh,
16 GB RAM. So I faced this issue, so I upgraded it.
okay, yeah,
It's working now.
yeah. I am stuck with 8 GB RAM, so I cannot help.
RAM upgrade will do that, I guess.
Yeah, that's what,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So as we go to wind up here because I know where is
Okay. Just last thing to discuss. Mm,
so Yash and Yash. I'm giving you creating accounts for you guys now. So Yash and Yash and Josh and Vineeth and Tanuj. This is what we have here. I don't think that we will end up. I don't think we'll. Maybe we'll take this same deployment into a production, support it in production, but maybe not. But right now, but when we get there, we'll be understanding and looking at the different roles in there, and who should be who wants to be curating the community and taking care of the site going forth. So what I'm just trying to say is, if you end up with admin access now but get it taken away later, don't be offended. That's not, um, or if like it would be taken away if this isn't something you want to continue to do. If you were just trying to help get it going.
Yeah. Okay, so like for the Mailchimp, so we can also add webhooks, and I think the solution that's provided to add the email for uh, when a new user signs up, you get a email. So there we can add a webhook for it. So but still we'll have to define. So there are the user event here. We have logs in, logs out is created, approved, updated. We just want it to respond when it's created.
For this particular webhook, that is absolutely correct. Approved or updated. Interesting. Yep, it's just created. Wait. A user logs in yep, it's just created. That's great. That's good that they've got.
Okay, then, and for footer, do we also go with the same one with our current website, or we use this one? Because I think you wrote that you can go ahead with this on the
Oh yeah,
discuss.layer5.io.
yeah. I mean, if you can get it, that's great. The one that you just that's great. But yeah, if you can get it to look like the other one, that's ideal. But I mean, this is pretty close.
Uh, okay, I'll try to have it like this.
Actually, Mr. Pandy and Mr. Vardon, they might be able to help. This might be a good area for them to potentially help with. Josh, if you end up focusing on plugins and things, or.
Yeah, yeah. If do they have accounts, or I do create for them?
Yeah, you have to create for. Actually, I was just looking at that, and there's a link that I'm pasting into the chat now that I think anyone who visits the link can
Get
self.
say invite.
Yeah,
Then we'll have to also make them admins if they want to make changes.
let's do it. And then Josh, you can rip the admins out of their hands, and no, I'm just
Yeah,
no,
I
let's do it because
okay. How many do we have right now? Yeah.
this is in part why I'm saying, like, oh, I don't know if we should carry this system for this exact deployment forward, because in order to get it up and get all of us learned and understand, and that's why most of us are here, is to like do some good things, learn a bunch of stuff in the process. And so in order to facilitate learning and doing the stuff, like, hey, people have got to have access to the things. And then and then I don't know that anyone really wants the liability of the public site, not, the public discuss going down and crashing, because there will be some of you who spend enough time and really kind of get into this and like what's going on, whether it's from plugins or from, like, eventually we'll need community managers. Like, we'll need people help it, just like in Slack. Most of you guys welcome other people in Slack. That's awesome. Please do it. Please do a bunch of it. Um, the same thing will be here, is like when someone asks a question for the first time, hey, should they get a badge or a point, or when should they get a point? Hey, when a question is answered, when should we say, there's a plugin that Josh was looking at. It's the solution plugin. It's like, which means as a moderator of the site, you can say, oh, well, that's this, or maybe the person who asked the question, they can say, that's the solution that answered my question. There's tons and tons of rules and decisions to be made that, yeah,
Also, I just wanted to add the thing like I think you'll have to do something with the HTTP and HTTPS.
Oh yeah. What's his name? Abhishek is working on it because
Okay, yeah,
yeah, I'll poke him.
because the link you shared it has HTTP and it won't work.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'll just stop sharing.
Good. So we're yeah we might be about like a week and a half or so away. We might not be too far away from being able to go live with that site. Between the two, between Mr. Pandy and Mr. Vardan, if one of the two of you ends up, well, does one of the two of you want to take a crack at the footer? Or Josh, I don't want to. Josh, are you looking for those guys? One of those guys to pick it up?
Yeah, if anyone like, it would be good if they want to work on it, so I can then look into the plugins and other stuff.
Is that inclusive for the header as well, for the nav bar as well, Josh? Or
It depends how when do we like when they are ready to work on it.
it's commitment.
I
Like
can
if they do it right now, then I can give them the both, or either I do one of them and then.
I can try working for the footer.
Okay, so once you accept the invite, just message me on Slack so I can give you the admin access.
Okay, okay. So
And at this rate, Yash will have done like all the site footers. He's already already quite skilled at